Hi everyone, we are happy to share with you guidance for separate housing for volunteers at our post. We carefully select volunteer housing based on the post developed criteria for safety and security, medical requirements, and other criteria as well. All the stages of the housing selection process, from identification to final approval, are led by the site coordinator in cooperation with the regional manager, safety and security manager, and Peace Corps medical officer. They work closely with school principals, counterparts, and local community members from the very beginning of the process to the end in order to provide appropriate and safe housing for volunteers. During the site ID process, we must check the availability of local facilities and services as well before we approve the site. These include the presence of a local market, hospital, rural clinic, bank, and ATM machine, public transportation, and the availability of an emergency vehicle in their community. For the safety and well-being of the volunteer, the geographical location of the lodging and its distance from facilities must meet certain minimum requirements. Regarding transportation, they have to be accessible and daily public transportation options, not more than 1 hour by foot from site. Road must be passable with Peace Corps approved vehicles during monsoon season. The site must have access to emergency transportation at all times, whether public or private transportation. At the initial stage of the housing selection process, we begin orientation with the landlord family and community members about the Peace Corps, who the volunteers are, and some cross-cultural challenges of U.S. and Myanmar culture. For safety purposes, we have to make sure that PCV housing is not in an area that floods easily. It should also be in a low crime area as determined by SSM after discussions with local community members. Volunteer safety requires adequate lighting. For example, there should be a walking light over the entrance. There must also be a separate bedroom with a door and window that can be locked from inside and outside. We have to make sure that the interior and exterior of the housing have no serious damage concerns or structural issues. If there are any issues, then they need to be fixed by the landlord before the PCV can move in. All approved housing has a main entrance door that is solid and has a secure inside sliding latch and outside lock. All the windows must be sturdy and have a way to securely close and lock them. Also, the window of the volunteer rooms must have iron grills. Curtains are also recommended for the windows of volunteer housing. It is mandatory to have a space available for cooking and food preparation by the volunteer, and also a clean area for washing dishes. It must have a full storage area that is protected from rodents and insects with no sign of infestation, such as rats or insects. Charcoal, wood, gas, and electric cooking are all very common in Myanmar homes. Most PCV have electric hot plates, but some have a camping gas stove. The kitchen area must be well ventilated with windows to avoid any potential risks. We provide mandatory training in PSD on the safe use of these cooking devices, and volunteers can practice safe cooking with their sponsor families in PSD. There must be a bathing area and a clean toilet area available that is private and secure. While a flush toilet is preferable, traditional toilets or squatting toilets are very common in Myanmar housing, especially in rural areas. In rural areas, the bathing area and the toilet won't be attached to the house, but they can be found nearby in the yard. The electrical meter, outlets, wiring and switches must all be in a good working condition with no visible breaks or burns. Solar panels are commonly used as the source of electricity in some rural sites. In Myanmar, there are many different kinds of water sources. For example, wells, tube wells, water pumps, and underground water. With less rain, some of the volunteer sites in the dry central zone of Myanmar are vulnerable to drought as compared to other parts of the country. PCVs living in this area sometimes need to carry their water from the nearest source. Every year, just before we make site identification trips, we review and modify our post-housing criteria according to the updated IMA guidelines as a best practice. Thank you so much for joining us to learn about the selection and preparation of separate volunteer housing in Myanmar. We hope this has been helpful.